Living in some of the most well-renowned and popular big cities from around the world comes with a hefty price tag. However, these cities also offer lucrative job and business opportunities, which can allure skilled expats seeking a well-paying occupation. So, the purchasing power of the local resident of an expensive city is also on par with their median cost of living. In this video, we've ranked some of the most expensive cities to live in, according to their average monthly cost of living. These cities are some of the biggest economic powerhouses of their country's economy, and are some of the most developed as well. Another thing to note is that we've only mentioned one city per country, because if we listed the most expensive cities overall, most of this list would have consisted cities only from Switzerland and the US. So, for that reason, we've only mentioned the most expensive city of each country listed in this video. Number 15. Doha, Qatar. Ever since the mass tourism boom after the FIFA World Cup, cost of living in Qatar, especially in its capital, Doha, is rising exorbitantly. Most consumables in Doha, like food, clothing, and accessories, are imported, so one should clearly expect to pay much more for it than elsewhere. Similarly, accommodation is expensive in this affluent city. Rent for a simple one-bedroom apartment starts from $1,500 and can easily reach up to $2,000 if located in an upscale area. That said, salaries are high as well, with no personal income tax to pay, which means expats can keep everything they earn. The overall median cost of living in Doha is roughly around $2,600 to $3,000 per person. But in the end, most expenses in Doha vary greatly depending on one's lifestyle choices. Number 14. Auckland, New Zealand. Nestled between two sparkling harbors and rainforest-covered mountain ranges, Auckland is the main melting pot for New Zealanders and expats. Being the largest city on the island, food costs end up being higher than one may be used to, as most products have to be imported. The cost of accommodation has also skyrocketed in recent years, with more expats choosing to settle here. Luckily, the competitive salaries offered in this economic hub tend to make up for the high cost of living. The standard of living is also great, which also makes high prices more bearable. Currently, the median cost of living to reside comfortably in this city is estimated around $2,800 to $3,200 a month. Number 13. Amsterdam, Netherlands. Given its reputation as a sought-after travel destination in Europe, Amsterdam certainly isn't cheap. Like most European capitals, its cost of living is on the rise, and nowadays, with a single person's monthly spending cloaking at around $3,000 to $3,600. Although like anywhere else in the world, the cost of living depends upon one's requirements and tastes. Amsterdam's reputation for being an expensive city doesn't mean it has to break the bank. Many people tend to reside in shared accommodation or hostels to live on a budget. But in spite of that, it's still an expensive city to live in, especially for those not employed in its local job market. Furthermore, utilities like gas and electricity are also exorbitant in Amsterdam, and most are expected to pay a large sum towards utilities at the end of each month. Number 12. Oslo, Norway. Oslo is without a doubt one of the most expensive cities in Europe, and it's hardly a surprise for anyone who is familiar with Norway's capital. But at the same time, it's a super progressive city with eclectic architecture, developed infrastructure, and an excellent quality of life. The main driver that makes Oslo expensive is accommodation, as the rental market of this city is out of control. One can expect to pay over $1,800 per month for a one-bedroom apartment in the premises of the main hub. With that, the overall cost of living in this city is about $3,000 to $3,600 per month. This high cost of living is balanced by high salaries and the exceptional quality of life enjoyed by its residents. Moreover, as a global metropolis and a major economic, industry, trade, banking, and shipping hub, Oslo provides many job opportunities to expatriates. Number 11. Sydney, Australia. Australia's largest city center, with nearly 5 million people calling it home, Sydney shares exorbitant prices for real estate, rivaling New York City's notoriously high costs. In addition, entertainment, utilities, transport, and eating out are also far more expensive than in many other parts of Australia. That said, expats usually find that the quality of life in Sydney is worth the cost, and in most cases, salaries are high enough to afford a comfortable life here. After all, the city accounts for nearly half of the entire country's economic growth, and at 3.8%, it has one of the lowest unemployment rates out of all the other expensive cities from around the world. A single person can easily live a comfortable life here under a monthly budget of $3,000 to $3,800 US per month. Number 10. Nassau, Bahamas. The capital and most populated city of the Bahamas, Nassau is a progressive, well-developed urban city with many attractive features. It boasts world-class entertainment, great outdoor activities, excellent safety, and a landscape for affluent retirees. Despite the small size, it is a really busy city, and there are always festivals or events going on. Since it's a central point of commercial activities in the Bahamas, there are a lot of expatriates and business workers here. So evidently, the median cost of living in this city is on the higher side of the spectrum. Goods are usually shipped in, resulting in high import duties, and accommodation options are limited, especially when compared with other expensive cities in this video. However, those with a steady job that pays well can enjoy all that this city has to offer. Typically, the median cost of living in this city is around $3,200 to $3,800 per month. Number 9. Toronto, Canada. In the past, the Canadian city of Vancouver was considered the most expensive city in the country, but according to the current stats, Toronto has dethroned Vancouver as the most expensive city in Canada. The cost of goods and services, including food, transportation, and housing, are at an all-time high in Toronto. During the pandemic, its population was depleting, but these days, its momentum is back and the city continuously attracts new residents because of its great career opportunities. In addition, it earns global recognition by continuously ranking at the top of global livability lists. The average monthly cost for a sole individual amounts around $3,200 to $4,000, a figure that depends upon the type of accommodation and lifestyle choices. All in all, it's a multicultural, cosmopolitan city with plenty to offer in terms of its job market, entertainment, and overall quality of life, which is why it's such a hotspot for expats. Number 8. Paris, France. Paris always features among the most expensive cities to live in the world. Many tourists, expats, and digital nomads flock to this historic city as it hosts some of the most significant global events and career opportunities. The median cost of living here starts from $3,300 to $4,000. Housing takes a large chunk of this monthly expense, and the price of rent in all 20 of its neighborhoods is quite high. For instance, monthly rent for a basic unfurnished one-bedroom apartment in the premises of the city center can be around $2,200. So without a doubt, rent takes a large chunk of monthly spendings in Paris, while other day-to-day essentials like fresh produce and groceries are somewhat affordable. But bear in mind, entertainment options, eating out, and services like healthcare still cost a lot here. Number 7. Copenhagen, Denmark. It's no news that the capital city of Denmark is an expensive city to live in. Despite being closer to mainland Europe, cost of living in Copenhagen is the highest out of all the Scandinavian cities, with median cost for a single person coming at around $3,400 to $4,000. Two main factors that contribute to these high costs are high taxes and rents in Denmark. Plus, many other daily expenses also tend to be higher than average. These include the cost of utilities, groceries, and dining out. But despite these high living expenses, Copenhagen has become increasingly popular among both expats and Danes, as the metropolis has a reputation for being one of the most cosmopolitan, developed, and exciting cities to live in Northern Europe. Number 6. Dublin, Ireland. Dublin's cost of living is continuously rising each year. According to a recent survey, an average blue-collar Dubliner ends up in debt each month after paying all the bills and rent. The main reason for the sudden high costs is due to a large influx of international companies moving their EU base here. In addition, the housing supply in the city simply cannot keep up with the demand, which causes housing prices in Dublin to soar. Currently, the median cost of living to reside in this city is estimated around $3,600 to $4,000. Number 5. London, UK. Culturally diverse yet very modern and steeped in history, the English capital carries the reputation of an extremely expensive city. It's one of the most significant metropolitan cities, with more than 8 million residents, and it attracts many expats looking to find work in fields of IT, banking, business, and healthcare. Even though the average cost of living in this city is a bit higher than the rest of the UK cities, people are still keen on moving and securing a job here. Just like most of the other cities in this list, rent is the biggest expense in London. No matter what area, decent housing is expensive throughout the city. As a whole, its median cost of living is in the price bracket of $3,800 to $4,500 per month. Number 4. Zurich, Switzerland. Located at the northeastern tip of Switzerland, Zurich is a vibrant city filled with old world charm to trendy industrialism. It holds a reputation for being an economic hub and financial capital of the country. On top of this, it ranks as one of the best cities in terms of quality of life, so it being expensive is quite evident. This not only applies to property, but also the general cost of living, be it utilities, eating out services, all of it is very expensive. But thankfully, the net pay is among the highest in the world, and the job market is very healthy for expats. Almost 35,000 of its population is made up of non-Swiss citizens. This reflects the city's appeal among international folks, despite being costly. Its median cost of living, including rent and all amenities, is around $4,800 to $5,500 per month. Number 3. Hong Kong. Hong Kong consistently ranks in the top 5 most expensive cities to live in the world. It's very densely populated, and the supply for housing is very low, but the demand is very high, so only housing costs a fortune in Hong Kong. Rent for a small one-bedroom condo usually starts from $2,500. In fact, there are some areas in the city where only monthly rent for a small shared bedroom can cost up to $1,500. Aside from accommodation, groceries, services, amenities, and eating out are also very expensive. The prices are so exorbitant in this city that one should expect to pay almost $15 for a cup of coffee. All things considered, its median monthly cost of living starts from $5,000 to $6,000. Regardless of its high prices, many expats from neighboring areas still move here due to the low income tax rates and career growth. Number 2. Singapore. Singapore has wrapped up the second spot together with Hong Kong as Asia's and one of the world's most expensive cities to live in. The average cost to reside in the main city hub of Singapore starts from $5,800 to $6,500. While much of the high prices relate to the demand to live in this city, the residents often blame lack of management of resources as an explanation as to why they are paying such high prices. Over the years, it's become an attractive place to live and work for skilled expats. This has resulted in more people wanting to move here. Thus, prices for resources and accommodation are inflating. Nonetheless, the GDP per capita in this city is one of the highest in the world, so the purchasing power of its settled residents is on par with the monthly expenses. Number 1. New York City, USA. Unsurprisingly, New York tops the list of most expensive cities in the world, especially its boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn are ranked as the most expensive areas to live and buy property on the planet. The median cost to live here is about $6,000 to $7,000. During the pandemic, its cost of living decreased a bit as most people were working remotely, so they migrated to less dense areas in nearby counties and spend less. But as soon as things got back to normal, its cost of living increased again, and the sudden surge of inflation made living here even more expensive. So in conclusion, no matter what, cost of living in cities like New York will always rise as they always attract newcomers due to the unique ability to cater to the interests of everyone, be it young artists, skilled expats, and entrepreneurs.